So now do you think exceptions are the greatest feature ever, saving you all the trouble of checking a big long chain of return values and guaranteeing that nobody can forget and fitting even into functions whose return values are already used? They're great. But it is important to remember that they cost computationally. It takes time to be an exception user. Now, not to set up the try and the catch. If the exception's never thrown, there is a small computational cost when you enter the try to sort of notice where we need to come back to if there's trouble. If you actually throw an exception and catch it, that uses up way more time than just having an if to test a condition. That's a great reason why they're better for things that happen much less often, and especially for things that are really catastrophic if somebody forgets to check for them. Don't go and use exceptions for data entry validation like somebody entering a ridiculous date. You're right there. You test it, you give them an error message, it's all in one place. Where you use them is in these deep calling hierarchies. So a function calls a function, which calls a function, which calls a function, and way down, 7 or 8 layers down, we detect trouble in some manner. And if that function returns false, then the guy one up the hierarchy needs to say, if he returned false, don't do any more processing because we don't have anything to process or deal with. Maybe do some cleanup, return false myself, someone else has to. And there's a computational cost to that, to all that ifing. If there are no try catches anywhere in this big long hierarchy, if there's a try, let's say in A, but B, C, D, E, F don't have any try or catch in them, then what's going to happen when the exception is finally thrown all the way down is there'll be stack unwinding, so local variables will all be destructed all the way up into the try, and then control will go to that appropriate catch block. Your code is neater, and it's actually faster because you're not having those ifs all the thousands of times that everything ran smoothly, and you only have a computational cost when trouble happens. For things like, wow, your password was great 5 minutes ago, but your network credentials just became bad because your password's expired, or we had the network when you browsed, but the network has stopped and fallen down, or that file has disappeared, the hard drive's full, we're out of memory. These are really rare occurrences, and those are the best ones to use exceptions for. So you've got the combination of a really deep calling hierarchy and a really rare occurrence, it's screaming for exceptions. When you have a very, very shallow calling hierarchy, like one function deep, and a dirt common problem like users typing bad values, that's a bad case for exceptions.